A celebrity collapsed on the high-speed train. I performed an emergency tracheotomy on the spot, cutting open her windpipe and saving her life. When she woke up, she tearfully asked for my personal information, saying she wanted to send me a banner of commendation as thanks. But half a month later, not only did I not receive a banner, I received a letter from a lawyer. The celebrity claimed that because of my illegal medical practice, I had damaged her windpipe, leaving her unable to sing ever again. Her fans swarmed to insult me, calling me an unscrupulous quack and devoid of medical ethics. Even my own boyfriend accused me of ruining his goddess's promising career. Just like that, the situation spiraled out of control. I was permanently fired from the hospital, my future utterly destroyed. Finally, in despair, I picked up a scalpel and aimed it at my own carotid artery. But I never expected that the day after I died, that same celebrity would release a new album and appear on a new music show. It turned out her vocal cords had healed long ago. She had just used me to manipulate her fans for publicity and to cover up the scandal of her being a rich businessman's kept woman. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day the celebrity collapsed on the high-speed train. Medical personnel on board, please proceed to car 1 immediately. Someone is in urgent need of your assistance. The train conductor's urgent announcement suddenly broke the silence in the quiet car. Upon hearing it, my boyfriend, Joe Sixon, immediately asked me, should we go take a look? No. My cold refusal stunned Joe Sixon. Perhaps because no medical personnel had yet appeared, an anxious male voice came over the broadcast again. The person who collapsed is the celebrity Meng Kian. If you can save her, we will not only pay a handsome reward, but also provide Kian's limited edition, signed photos and concert tickets. A low murmur quickly spread through the car. Oh my God, it's Kian. What is she doing on this train? And she collapsed. Her damn company must be working her to the bone. Her schedule is too packed. My heart aches for her. Meng Kian was a very popular young starlet. In the 2 years since her debut, she had attracted a massive fanbase with her innocent looks and enchanting voice, hailed as the purest lark in the entertainment industry. Even Joe Sixon, sitting next to me, couldn't help but show a pained expression. He said, Cheng Zhu, a doctor's duty is to heal, you should go save her. She must have collapsed from exhaustion due to her packed schedule and dedication to her work. His words made me laugh with rage. Dedication and exhaustion. It was clearly an allergic reaction to birth control pills that caused her airway to swell. In my past life, the scene was exactly the same. I didn't even wait for the broadcast to announce she was a celebrity before rushing over to help. The moment I saw Meng Kian's cyanotic face and convulsing body, I knew she must have ingested something harmful. I immediately used the Heimlich maneuver to help her expel it, but I never expected her to vomit up only a few pills. I asked her manager what was going on, and he stammered that they were birth control pills. I didn't care about celebrity gossip like that. In my eyes, she was just a patient. So I determined she was likely having an allergic reaction to the pills, causing an airway obstruction. I quickly told her manager, Kaiji, she needs surgery immediately. Go find me a clean blade alcohol. Kaiji stumbled off and quickly brought back the items. Without hesitation, I cut into Meng Kian's trachea and performed a simple cricothyrotomy. A few minutes later, the purple hue on her face finally returned to normal. The moment Meng Kian opened her eyes, her manager, Kaiji, practically fell to his knees to thank me. You're a miracle worker, a divine healer. Thank God you were here today, otherwise our Kian might have died. After we arrived at the station, Meng Kian was taken away by an ambulance. She made a special effort to type a message on her phone, tearfully thanking me. Dr. Cheng, please, you must leave your phone number and workplace. People online say the best way to thank a doctor is to send them a banner of commendation with gongs and drums during the busiest time at the hospital. That way, they'll be valued by the hospital leadership and get promoted. I was amused by the girl's simple and naive words. In the end, I gave her my contact information, told her to rest well, and to call me anytime if she needed anything. But I never imagined that half a month later, she would indeed have something delivered to the hospital during its busiest time. Unfortunately, it wasn't a banner of commendation, but a letter from a lawyer. Her manager, Kaiji, in front of numerous hospital leaders, cursed me out. You quack! It's all your fault for practicing medicine illegally outside your jurisdiction, ruining our Kian's windpipe and making it so she can never sing again. I stared at him in disbelief. Weren't you the one who begged me to save her? If I hadn't performed the surgery, she would have died. Kaiji spat and said contemptuously, "What gives you the right to operate on our Kian? Her annual insurance premium is 7 figures. Can you afford to pay if something goes wrong? I've already consulted a lawyer. You didn't show any medical license at the time, and you were practicing outside your jurisdiction, which is a serious violation of the law. Our Kian has over a dozen variety shows lined up and new songs to release. But because of you, her voice is ruined, and she can't sing anymore. You must pay the price." My eyes widened in shock. I couldn't believe these words were coming from the same person who had tearfully begged me for help. I quickly found my boyfriend, Joe Sixon, who had been on the business trip with me, hoping he would testify for me. But to my surprise, Joe Sixon looked at me with disappointment and said, "Chengzu, just apologize. It was your lack of skill that snuffed out the purest lark in the entertainment industry." Hearing this, Kaiji became even more emboldened. He viciously insulted me, calling me a quack. The surrounding patients gathered, and even the hospital leadership, with grim faces, told me to take a leave of absence immediately to handle the matter. But this was only the beginning. When I got home, the video of Kaiji confronting me at the hospital had gone viral. "Unscrupulous quack. Meng Kian can never sing again." A series of hashtags trended online. Meng Kian became the most talked about and pitied female singer. Every day, people sent me private messages cursing me to die a horrible death, even photoshopping funeral portraits of my entire family. Meanwhile, my boyfriend, Joe Sixon, blocked me and visited Meng Kian in the hospital every day, claiming it was to atone for my sins. I couldn't take it anymore. I picked up the once familiar scalpel and aimed it at my own carotid artery. Before I died, I wrote a suicide note and sent it to a newspaper, hoping to use this desperate act to tell the world I did nothing wrong. But not only was the note suppressed by Kaiji's PR team, but the space it was meant to occupy was replaced with news of Meng Kian's miraculous trachea recovery, set to return to music shows. Instantly, countless fans shed tears of joy for her recovery. She cried, saying, "Perhaps it was Joe Sixon's care during this time that healed me. Or perhaps seeing that quack die and no longer harm others. My heart was finally at ease, which allowed me to heal. Thank heavens." Everyone marveled at this miracle, and Meng Kian became a top-tier star because of it. But as soon as she was off the show, I heard her say to Kaiji, "Kaiji, your plan was brilliant. By pretending my windpipe was injured, I could play the victim and manipulate my fans. Not only was the scandal of me being a kept woman suppressed, but I became even more famous and even snagged a rich boy from the Zhou family to be my boyfriend and take the fall. That Dr. Cheng really died at the perfect time." Kaiji laughed and placated her. "Isn't that right? A doctor's duty is to save lives. She elevated you from a third-tier star to a top-tier one. That counts as a compassionate contribution to the people. She should be happy." With that, they tore my blood-stained suicide note to shreds. And I, a lingering spirit, could only watch as she appeared on show after show, signed endorsement after endorsement, and even got engaged and had children with Joe Sixon. But I never thought heaven would grant me another chance. This life, I will never again meddle in the affairs of this venomous celebrity. But now, Joe Sixon was pointing at me with a disappointed look. "Chengzu, you disappoint me so much. You were never like this before. Isn't it your duty as a doctor to save the sick and injured?" I smiled. "The prerequisite for saving lives is that you're saving a human being. Meng Kian was nothing but a harmful, ungrateful wolf. Why should I save her?" I glanced at Joe Sixon. "Oh, aren't you a doctor too? Why don't you go save her?" He was hit where it hurt. "You know perfectly well I'm still an intern. I don't even have my medical license yet. Then put away your sympathy and shut up." Joe Sixon was instantly speechless, but the broadcast for medical help continued. Joe Sixon looked worriedly towards Car 1. He gritted his teeth as if he had made a decision, then suddenly pointed at me and shouted, "Hey, everyone. This woman next to me, Chengzu, is a surgeon. She can save Meng Kian." In an instant, everyone's eyes were on me. Even the train conductor and Meng Kian's manager, Kaiji, heard the commotion and rushed over. The conductor asked me, "Ma'am, are you really a doctor? The patient in Car 1 needs your help urgently." Joe Sixon quickly picked up the book I had been reading. "Yes, she's a surgeon. Look, she was just reading a medical textbook." Hearing this, Kaiji dropped to his knees before me. "Doctor, I'm begging you, please save our Kian. Please, once you save her, We'll give you more money than you can spend. We can even get you roles in movies and on variety shows. His words just made me want to vomit. In my past life, when he and Meng Qian tore up my suicide note and said I died at the perfect time, they certainly weren't kneeling and begging like this. I sneered and shook off Kaiji's hand. I'm not going. Everyone was shocked, including Zhou Sixun. Chengzu, do you know what you're saying? Saving lives is a doctor's duty. How can you be so cold-blooded? Other passengers chimed in. Yeah, refusing to save someone. What kind of doctor are you? She's probably just jealous of how beautiful Qian is, so she's deliberately refusing to help. I knew this was the effect Zhou Sixun wanted. By publicly revealing my identity as a doctor, they would force me to save Meng Qian, even if I said, I don't have my license with me, and this is practicing outside my jurisdiction. Then, I would repeat the tragedy of my past life. Heh, what a masterful use of moral blackmail. Too bad for you, I won't let you have your way. I met everyone's gaze, and under their expectant eyes I spoke loudly. Yes, I am a doctor. And it is precisely because I am a doctor that my medical skills are entering China at high speed. Everyone listen up. The scalpel will slice open Jesus's underpants, the syringe will launch an aircraft carrier, and one of these pills can blow up 800 pigs. In that moment, everyone was dumbfounded. They had no idea what I was saying. I had no idea what I was saying either. But I knew that they didn't know what I was saying, because I was just spouting absolute nonsense, haha. That's right, I'm a doctor, but would you dare let a doctor who seems to be insane treat you? My speech grew faster and faster, and the pupils of the conductor and the manager grew wider and wider. At the end, I even dropped to my knees, grabbed Kaiji, who had just been kowtowing, and knocked his forehead against mine, making us bump heads together as I shouted, bounce, bounce, bounce. Bounce away the crow's feet. Silence fell over the car. Even Zhou Sixun was silent. I knew I must have achieved my goal. I shook my head, dusted myself off, and stood up, as if having a moment of clarity. I sighed to the crowd, my apologies. She just came out for a bit. It's fine, it's me now. Let's go, didn't you say someone needed saving? I looked at Kaiji, but he was clutching the wound on his forehead from our head bumping, and shrank back in terror. I feigned confusion. Even the conductor looked at me with fear. Only Zhou Sixun refused to believe what he was seeing. He shouted, Chengzu, what are you pretending for? You're acting insane just to avoid saving Qian. I looked innocent. I'm not. I really want to save Meng Qian. Please lead the way. Kaiji was the first to speak up. No, we absolutely cannot let this lunatic near Qian. Our Qian is a star. If anything happens to her, 10 lunatics couldn't afford to compensate us. I spread my hands. Then you should ask Zhou Sixun. He's a top student from a medical university. Kaiji's sharp eyes spotted the medical university graduate student ID on his tray table. Quick, top student, come with me and save her. But Zhou Sixun quickly protested. No, I haven't finished my residency. A life is at stake. Just go and provide first aid. Even CPR would be better than nothing. Kaiji grabbed him and started pulling him towards car 1. The other passengers also started clamoring for Zhou Sixun to go, saying this was the first lesson for a future doctor. Zhou Sixun's moral blackmail had backfired completely. He couldn't resist and was pushed by the crowd towards Meng Qian's car. Watching his retreating back, I couldn't help but smile. Zhou Sixun, I can't wait to see the look on your face when you help your pure goddess vomit up a pile of birth control pills. Haha. I stood at the very back of the crowd, squeezing through with everyone else. Even with security on the train, nothing could stop the onlookers from wanting to see the celebrity drama. I even saw someone next to me had started a live stream. Folks, breaking news, the celebrity Meng Qian collapsed on our high-speed train today. Meng Qian's inherent popularity shot the incident to the top of the trending topics, and a flood of viewers poured in. The camera focused on Meng Qian not far away. Just as I remembered from my past life, her small face was already cyanotic, and she was slumped weakly in her chair, repeatedly pounding her chest. Comments flew across the screen. OMG, her company must be so evil. They must have packed her schedule. That's why our Qian collapsed. My heart aches for her. Is she really just exhausted? She kind of looks like she's choking on something. Zhou Sixun, being a medical master's student, had the basic knowledge. He immediately assessed Meng Qian's condition, pulled her against his chest, and began performing the Heimlich maneuver. Under his compressions, the weakened Meng Qian suddenly let out a violent retch. 7 or 8 small yellow pills were vomited onto the floor. Joe Sixon wiped the sweat from his forehead. It's okay, she probably just took these pills too quickly and choked on them. The live stream was flooded with comments. Oh my god. What kind of illness does Kyan Kian have to be taking so many pills at once? What kind of pills are they? Poor thing. Seeing this, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. What kind of pills? The birth control pills her sugar daddy made her take, of course. Unfortunately, Joe Sixon didn't recognize the pills. And just as his expression finally relaxed, he noticed that Meng Kyankian's face was still deathly pale. She still hadn't woken up. What's going on? Why isn't Kyankian awake yet? Didn't you say she'd be fine once she threw up? Kaiji shrieked, holding Meng Kyankian. Joe Sixon was also panicking. His clinical experience was insufficient, and with so many people watching, his nerves got the better of his judgment. He could only stammer, It might be a side effect of the medication. Yes, it's probably the medicine. He quickly turned to Kaiji. What are these pills she took? Tell me quick. But as soon as Joe Sixon asked, Kaiji's face changed instantly. In my past life, I had arrived early, and no one knew the collapsed person was Meng Kyankian, so there was no crowd. Under my questioning, Kaiji had quickly whispered to me that they were birth control pills. But this life was different. This time, Kaiji had announced Meng Kyankian's collapse himself, and Joe Sixon had escalated the situation, drawing a huge crowd, some even live streaming. How could Kaiji dare to say what kind of pills Meng Kyankian had taken? He hemmed and hawed, saying nothing. The people in the live stream were frantic. What kind of pills are they? Just say it. If there's a problem, we can all help figure it out. This is infuriating. What a useless manager. It's still over 20 minutes until the next station. Who knows if our Kyankian can hold on? I'm a medical student. I can say for sure Meng Kyankian isn't just choking. Looking at her symptoms, it's definitely caused by the medication, either a side effect or an allergic reaction. Joe Sixon realized it too. He urged Kaiji, what medicine did she take? You have to tell me. Otherwise, how can we save Kyankian? But Kaiji kept his mouth shut. Just then someone suddenly spoke up. Is it this? I found it under the seat. Someone tremblingly held up a pink box, with the words levonorgestrel tablets printed on it. In that instant, the entire scene fell silent. Until finally someone weakly asked, isn't that birth control? The entire livestream audience went insane. What is going on? Why would Kyankian take something like that? Haha, what other reason could there be? She's a slut. Can the person above watch their mouth? A lot of people take this to regulate their periods. Can you not just jump to insults? I've never heard of anyone taking a whole handful to regulate their period, lol. The purest lark in the entertainment industry. More like a locust. The live stream chat was in an uproar, and the expressions on Kaiji's and Joe Sixon's faces were a sight to behold. Finally, Joe Sixon spoke first, trying to remain calm. I think I understand. It's not a side effect. It's respiratory obstruction caused by an allergic reaction. The only way is to perform surgery and cut open her trachea immediately. Seeing Kaiji's expression change drastically, he quickly added, don't worry, a cricothyrotomy is a simple procedure that can be done in a non-sterile environment, but I've never done one before. I'm a little scared. He paused, then his gaze suddenly swept over the crowd. A chill ran down my spine. Oh no. This bastard is definitely going to try to make me do the surgery. I had already gotten away with it by pretending to be crazy. But now with so many people live streaming, if I did it again, my hospital leadership would see it, and I'd definitely be disciplined. I glanced at the hard, sturdy wall of the train car. I silently backed away. Then the moment Joe Sixon's eyes met mine, I yelled, stop pushing from the back, I'm being crushed, I'm going to faint. With that, I slammed myself against the wall, my head hitting it hard. Thud. And just like that, I gracefully fainted. I was carried back to my original car. As I was being carried, I could still hear Joe Sixon shouting, don't take her away, she can do this surgery. But who would listen? I was now an unconscious person. Once I was back in my seat, I slowly woke up. I weakly wiped the blood from the gash on my forehead and said to the conductor, you should go help with Meng Kyankian. I'm fine. Her situation is more urgent right now. The conductor even praised me for being a good citizen with a strong sense of public duty. As soon as the conductor left, I immediately took out my phone and continued watching the live stream that some kind soul was broadcasting. In the stream, Meng Kyankian's face was turning increasingly blue. Joe Sixon didn't dare delay any longer. He had no choice but to brace himself, take the blade and alcohol Kaiji had found, and begin operating on Meng Qianqian. But the moment I saw his clumsy technique, I knew. Yikes, this is not good. Some medical students in the live stream also noticed. Isn't his incision too big? Qianqian is a star. What if it affects her voice later? The sterilization procedure seems a bit off. The risk of infection is high. Oh my god, the sutures are so crooked. What if it leaves a scar? Shut up, you guys upstairs. As long as he saves her life, that's all that matters. Stop being so picky. Exactly, if you're so good, you do it. Although the live stream was in chaos, the scene itself was exceptionally quiet. It wasn't until Jo Sik-sun, drenched in a cold sweat, finally finished the surgery that Kaiji let out a shriek. The blue on Qianqian's face is gone. Her breathing has stabilized. Jo Sik-sun wiped the sweat from his brow, listened to her heartbeat, and finally let out a long sigh of relief. A round of applause erupted on the scene. At the same time, the high-speed train finally arrived at the station. Professional medical staff, who had been contacted in advance, quickly boarded the train and carried Meng Qianqian away. I saw Jo Sik-sun gathering his things, preparing to leave, but just then, he was stopped by Kaiji. Seeing this, my heart skipped a beat. I heard Kaiji say the exact same words he had said to me in my past life. "You're a miracle worker. Thank you for saving our Qianqian. Please leave your personal information. We will definitely send you a banner of commendation later." Jo Sik-sun hesitated for a moment, but eventually lowered his head and gave Kaiji his school and work unit information. In that instant, a wave of ecstasy washed over me. Because I knew. Jo Sik-sun was finished. He hadn't even obtained his residency certificate or his medical license. When something went wrong with Meng Qianqian, they would have a slam-dunk case against him. All the cyberbullying and humiliation I had suffered in my past life were about to be his turn. I couldn't wait. Seeing Jo Sik-sun heading my way in the live stream, I quickly closed my eyes again. The next second, his cold voice sounded in my ear. "Stop pretending. We've arrived at the station, it's time to get off." I slowly opened my eyes and deliberately asked him, "What are you talking about? I don't understand." He looked at me with a sneer. "Chengzu, I never thought you were this kind of person. Not only did you refuse to save a life, but you also faked insanity and fainting to escape your responsibility. I really don't know how the me from 2 years ago could have ended up with someone of such low character." I cut him off directly. "Then let's not be together." He froze, seemingly unable to process it. "What did you say?" I said, "Let's break up." When I left, he was still standing there, stunned. Perhaps he never imagined that I, who had always been so obedient to him, would one day be the one to initiate a breakup. I met Jo Sik-sun when he came to our hospital for his internship. At the time, he was always being bullied by the senior staff. I couldn't stand it and spoke up for him a few times. After that, he started clinging to me. He called me Jie, older sister, at every turn. He even began to pursue me passionately. Having never been in a relationship, I quickly fell for this younger guy who came from a good family and was handsome. I was 5 years older than him, so after we started dating, I habitually took care of him. When he was stressed about graduation and had insomnia, I scoured medical books to prepare remedies and secretly added them to his tea. When he fought with his father and had his credit cards cut off, I helped cover some of his living expenses. When he was criticized by his superiors, I even took the blame for his mistakes, covering for him, and then patiently taught him the medical knowledge and principles. But it was this constant desire to take care and be considerate that made me completely miss the growing impatience in his eyes and tone. I didn't even notice that he had long since changed from calling me Jie to the cold, detached Chengzu. I sniffled, my nose stinging, and walked away with large strides. Dumping a scumbag is a good thing. No matter what, in this life, I would not repeat the same mistakes. When I got home that night, I immediately grabbed my phone to catch up on the drama. As expected, Meng Qianqian had almost completely taken over the trending topics on Weibo, all variations of Meng Qianqian collapses, Meng Qianqian takes birth control pills, Meng Qianqian pure image shattered. Although her fans were trying to control the comments under every post, they couldn't salvage her plummeting public image. It wasn't until midnight that her management company issued an emergency PR statement. The gist was, first, Meng Qianqian collapsed due to her dedication and exhaustion from filming. Second, Meng Qianqian was taking birth control pills to regulate her period, and she took so many at once because she was unfamiliar with the medication and didn't know the proper dosage. Finally, as is international custom, a warning letter from our lawyer. By late night, the trending topics about Meng Kian had started to drop. I knew this was the standard PR playbook for celebrities. It didn't matter. At least in this life, I had successfully escaped from that high-speed train incident that would have ruined my entire life, and I was no longer entangled with Meng Kian. The next day, I went to work as usual. Because Meng Kian's news was so explosive, my crazy episode on the train was completely overshadowed, and no one paid it any attention. When I arrived, I ran into Joe Sixon on the phone. I was about to walk around him, but he deliberately spoke loudly in front of me. "Oh, Kaiji, you're coming to our hospital today too? It's fine, no need for a banner. All that matters is that Kian recovers soon." I glanced at his deliberately showy posture and turned to leave. What banner? He probably had no idea that what was coming for him was a lawyer's letter. In the afternoon, Kaiji and his team really did show up. But to my surprise, he really did bring a banner of commendation, not a lawyer's letter. Kaiji even lavishly praised Joe Sixon to our hospital's leadership, saying he was kind-hearted and had exquisite medical skills, making Joe Sixon the center of attention for a while. I was stunned watching this unfold. How could this be? The surgery Joe Sixon performed on her had so many flaws. It would definitely affect the recovery of her trachea. It would 100% affect her singing. Given her and Kaiji's personalities, it was impossible for them not to use this opportunity to play the victim and clean up her image. I felt something was very wrong, but I couldn't figure it out. Half a month later, paparazzi even photographed Meng Kian entering and leaving Joe Sixon's off-campus apartment. In the photos, the two were close, looking extremely intimate. The news of their relationship shot to the top of the trending topics, and the comments section went wild with shipping. A top medical student and a popular female singer. What a fairy tale romance. And the way they met is like something out of a novel. I'm dying. Get married, get married, get married tomorrow. Only I, looking at this news, felt it was incredibly bizarre. How could Meng Kian get together with Joe Sixon so quickly? In my past life, Joe Sixon had pursued her for a long time before winning her over. Something was wrong. The whole thing was very wrong. There must be something I had forgotten. Meng Kian must be planning something with Joe Sixon, but what could it be? My eyes scanned the news article. That's it, the apartment. I had stayed in Joe Sixon's small apartment before. At the time, I was worried about walking home alone at night, so I had installed a security camera on his front door. Even after we broke up, I hadn't had a chance to remove it, and it was still connected to my phone. I quickly opened the remote surveillance app and started watching whenever I had a free moment, afraid I would miss Meng Kian saying something important. Then one night, I finally caught her. She was on the phone while entering the passcode to the door. "Kaiji, your plan was brilliant. I was all set to send Joe Sixon a lawyer's letter, but thank God you found out in time that he has a crush on me. This way, not only can I give the child in my belly a nominal father, but I can also use my relationship with him for publicity and to gain more fans." When she said this, I was completely stunned. Oh my God, Meng Kian was pregnant. No wonder. No wonder she was in such a hurry to get together with Joe Sixon. She wanted him to be the fall guy. I was utterly shocked. In my past life, after Joe Sixon got engaged to her, did he know about this? What a shame. For the first time, I regretted dying too early in my past life. I missed out on the spectacular drama of Joe Sixon happily becoming a father. Anyway, don't try to persuade me. I'm not getting an abortion. I'm counting on this child to marry into the family of CEO Chen or CEO Li or CEO Liu. Wait a minute, from the sound of it, she didn't even know who the father was. Speaking of which, it's not like I'm completely wronging. If he hadn't performed that surgery on me on the train, how would I have vomited up the birth control pills I took, leading to contraceptive failure? Even though he's not the baby's biological father, he should still be responsible for me. Truly, in that moment, I was thoroughly shocked by Meng Kian's logic. After learning the truth, I even felt a little sorry for Joe Sixon. Being cuckolded so spectacularly, and raising someone else's child seemed even worse than being served a lawyer's letter for illegal medical practice. Later, Joe Sixon must have fallen head over heels for Meng Kian. He applied to end his internship at our hospital early. The day he came to pack his things, he made a point to see me one last time. White shirt, black trousers, tall and slender, Undeniably, he was still first class in terms of looks. He looked at me with a mocking expression and uttered a single, light sentence. "Chengzu, let me tell you a piece of happy news that might sting you." I crossed my arms. "Go on. I'm going to be a father, and it's twins." After saying this, he stared at me smugly, as if waiting for me to mourn, regret, or even feel heartbroken for him. But I couldn't hold it in any longer and burst out laughing. "Ahahaha. Congratulations on becoming a father, hahaha." My reaction was completely unexpected. He was stunned and finally cursed at me. "You're insane. Chengzu, I think you've gotten addicted to pretending to be crazy." Yes, my insanity is fake, but your cuckold hat is real, hee. Not long after, Meng Qianqian and Zhou Sixun officially announced their marriage and pregnancy. They were in the limelight, even signing on to several variety shows together to display their affection. But just then, perhaps it was one of Meng Qianqian's rivals. The old rumors of her being kept by wealthy businessmen were dug up again. Although there were no concrete photos, the claims were very convincing. I heard that several endorsement deals she had lined up were canceled. I was gloating over her misfortune, but I never in a million years expected that Meng Qianqian and her manager would resort to the same trick from my past life to manipulate her fans and clean up her image. That night, a video of me pretending to be crazy on the train was leaked by a marketing account. Meng Qianqian even started to cry and complain. "I just found out that this woman is actually a surgeon at the municipal hospital." But why did she react in such a crazy way that day? If it's true, is it legal and proper for someone who seems so mentally unstable to hold such an important medical position? If it's fake, was she deliberately trying to avoid operating on me? Sigh, although I'm grateful that the accident led me to my current love, I've always regretted that if the experienced Dr. Cheng had performed my surgery, I might not have been left with this tracheal complication, and I wouldn't be struggling to even sing now. This wave of playing the victim instantly won her a huge new batch of fans. Countless netizens shed tears for her and fought her battles. The complaint section of our hospital was filled with voices viciously insulting me. Seeing this familiar pattern of cyberbullying, I couldn't help but laugh. "Sorry, Meng Qianqian, your tricks are still the same, but I'm no longer the fool from my past life who would let you bully me. Did you really think you were the only one with surveillance footage?" I anonymously sent the surveillance video I had recorded of Meng Qianqian to her rivals. That night, the classic recording exploded on Weibo. "Kaiji, your plan was brilliant. I'm not getting an abortion. I'm going to have this baby. What if I can marry into CEO Chen's or CEO Li's family because of this child? Even though he's not the baby's biological father, he should still be responsible for me." This time, it wasn't just me. The entire nation was stunned by Meng Qianqian's logic. Everyone also found out that Zhou Sixun had been cuckolded. The evidence was irrefutable, beyond any defense. Compared to her cheating, being a kept woman and pregnancy scandal, my pretending to be crazy was nothing. I even nonchalantly had a marketing account respond for me. "Actually, I'm perfectly healthy. I really wanted to help Ms. Meng that day, but I had just eaten some mushrooms from Yunnan. You all know what happens when you get poisoned by Yunnan mushrooms, right? I'm truly sorry." People who saw my clarification were all very understanding. After all, Yunnan mushrooms are notoriously potent. Soon enough, my clarification was only on the trending list for 10 minutes before it was pushed down by other hot topics about Meng Qianqian. After the recording was released, her rivals dug up even more dirt on her, like bullying newcomers, being a diva, tax evasion, and so on. In an instant, all of Meng Qianqian's variety shows were canceled, her endorsements were dropped, and she even faced huge compensation claims. That night, I received a message from Zhou Sixun. A text from Zhou Sixun popped up on my phone. "Did you release the video? No wonder you were laughing that day. You knew all along, didn't you?" I didn't even bother to reply because, well, I was already on a plane heading abroad. Shortly after I was reborn, I had started applying for a postdoctoral program at a research institute overseas. I had already made up my mind back then. No matter how things turned out, the safest path was to flee the country and stay far away from Meng Qianqian and her crazy crew. My resignation and visa were approved a few days ago, and I couldn't wait to get out. Meng Qianqian was completely blacklisted, and I was adjusting well abroad. However, I would occasionally receive emails from Zhou Sixun. "Jie, I miss you so much. I finally understand that you are the one who loves me most in this world. Can you come back? Please. GA, I really miss you. I only now realize how much you did for me. You would take notes for me, protect me from the senior staff scolding, and even give me your salary to use. You were the one who cured my insomnia. GA, I'll break up with Meng Kyankian for you. Can you give me another chance? I replied directly with one sentence. I can. I'll forgive you when you're dead. After sending that, I ignored him completely. But I never expected that 6 months later, Jo Sik-sun would actually be dead. Before Meng Kyankian gave birth, she had tried to explain herself publicly one more time, claiming the surveillance footage was AI-generated, that she hadn't cheated or been a kept woman, and that the children were Jo Sik-sun's. Then she gave birth, and boy, what a delivery. Twin boys, one black and one white. This phenomenon has occurred in biology before. If the paternal grandfather is black and the maternal grandmother is white, it's possible for mixed-race parents to have twins like this, one black and one white. But no matter how you mix the genes, neither of those babies had yellow skin. It was glaringly obvious that neither of them was Jo Sik-sun's. That day, Jo Sik-sun was so enraged that he set a fire, killing Meng Kyankian and Kai-ji, who was visiting. Before he died, he sent me one last email. GAE, by the time you read this, I'll probably be dead. Just think of it as me going to set up our home for the next life. Can you forgive me now? Seeing the words, our home for the next life, I only felt disgusted. Even though he was dead, I had to solemnly type 3 words in reply to that email. Number I can't.